Hi and welcome back to the Hydonso region. My name is Mads and I've been creating Pokemon ever since I was 5 years old. And I'm on a quest to remake them all. So join me as we create scary Pokemon from another dimension. The first Pokemon line I'm remaking today is yet another copy of an already existing Pokemon line. I am sure, just by looking at these guys, you can see the similarities to the Subast line. So naturally, I'm going to make a convergent variant. There are some clear resemblances, especially in the first stage, but it gradually evolves into something more like a dragon-looking vampire lord. So as usual, I will take inspiration from these old designs, mix in some speculative evolution ideas to make some unique creatures. Let's start recreating. We will start with Goldbeast, which of course gets its name from Subast, but swaps the bat for beasts. Because yeah, this thing is a beast. The concept is that a future descendant of Subast has adapted to a terrestrial lifestyle, after a dark post-apocalyptic future forced it to evolve. It's clearly inspired by the Night Stalker from Afterman, a strange and fascinating creature that absolutely deserves a Pokemon interpretation. And it's also a Pokemon that many of you have requested me to create. And maybe to a small degree, there are some elements that clearly comes from my childhood drawings, but for the most part it's because they looked like Subast. And overlap between the two is mostly its large ears. And Subast will heavily rely on sound and echolocation. It doesn't have eyes after all. I went back and forth on its coloring for a while, but the evolutions convinced me to give it fur and brown color scheme. Can you imagine these guys just as annoying as Subast, but this time charging at you from the ground? Goldbeast, the invasive Pokemon. Poison type. Ability, sturdy and punk rock. Hidden ability, beast boost. Dex entry. This bizarre Pokemon has only recently been discovered in the region. Believed to be a Subast that adapted to a life on land. It relies on echolocation to sense its surroundings. Its exceptional hunting skills have made it a formidable predator, disturbing the local ecosystem wherever it appears. And of course, for shiny, it had to be inspired by Subast's colors. I'm very pleased with this design. I especially love how the legs of Subast turned into the Night Stalker's arms, which looks super silly. What do you think about Goldbeast? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, Goldbeast will evolve, which happened at the same level as Subast evolves, which is at level 20, into Goldbeast. Golbat plus Beast. When I first started out, I didn't really have a good solid ID. It was just done in between the first and final stage. But of course, a good middle evolution needs to have its own design and personality. But the main reason for why I decided to change it and take in a different direction was because I was worried it looked too similar to another fake Pokemon of mine, Wurtzel, which, when I think about it, resembles Goldbat quite a bit. So I went back to my childhood drawings, got inspired by their vampiric concept, and decided to mix it in with the head crab from Half-Life. I also went back into the speculative evolution field to find potentially more bats who have adapted to a terrestrial lifestyle. And there is quite a few, and I came across the big hopper bat, which fitted the ID I had perfectly. After that, I started experimenting with different features. The biggest challenge? Definitely the ears. I even tried incorporating some elements from Goldbat's wings, but they ended up looking a little flat. At some point, it started to resemble Subast more than Goldbat, and honestly, it was getting a little bit too cute. I also tried giving it a nose, but it didn't quite fit with the look I was going for, so I dropped the ID, which is okay. Goldbat doesn't have a nose to begin with. I also decided that it will lose the fur from the first stage. I decided to make the final evolution hairless, but I had already given Goldbeast fur, so Goldbeast needed to be an in-between stage. where it loses hair, which gave me the idea based on my childhood drawings that it could be like a cape almost, like in my childhood drawings. But the best idea was actually to turn its tongue into a tail. It's a fun, creepy little detail that really makes the design stand out. Goldbeast, the invasive Pokemon. Poison Dragon type. Ability Sturdy and Punk Rock. Hidden ability Beast Boost. Dex entry. Goldbeast is an invasive species that leaps onto its prey and drains its life force, and taking control of its prey's body. Its gluttonous nature threatens the local ecosystem, so it's kept in a strict watch deep within underground tunnels. It's believed to be a descendant of Golbat. Its shiny form is of course based on Golbat's colors, and I have to say, it looks really good. I really like his design, though I'm still unsure about the ears, as they still look a little bit flat to me. I love that it hints to the vampiric theme, both in its design and lore. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, give it a like, because we know that Golbat usually evolves with friendship. However, this is not the case for Goldbeast. Instead, it will evolve holding the Black Surge into, yeah, you should have guessed it, Crowbeast, which comes from Crobat and Beast. It's primarily based on the future predator creature from the British show Primeval. Highly recommended show, by the way. The future predator is a terrifying bat-like creature that comes through a portal from a dark futuristic dimension. So obviously this also inspired the theme of its pre-evolutions and even the Hydonso region in general. The first sketches I made, I tried to give it a Crobat-like face, but honestly it just looked awkward. So instead I decided to not focus on making it look similar to the Crobat, but looking more like its inspiration. The issue with the future predator design from Primeval is that it's actually pretty plain looking, and I really wanted to continue what I had going with the ears, so therefore I looked at more creatures that could work well with the future predator. That's when I found a Floofer, another terrestrial bat from Afterman, a cute, strange looking leaf-nosed bat with ears shaped like flowers. On top of that, I also took inspiration from the Demigorgon from the Stranger Things. And mixing these three creatures together should be the perfect creature for a Halloween episode. I really liked how the ears turned out. It works as ears sending sound waves, but also kind of like a mouth, similar to the Demigorgon. Originally though, I wanted to have no eyes. This made it look very scary, so I decided to give it some small, simple eyes to make it feel more Pokemon-like. But the biggest change came a little bit later. Once I finished the pre-evolution, I decided to remove its tail. Originally came from the Vampire Lord concept, which unfortunately meant that it lost some elements from its original designs. But the tail kind of looked out of place, and actually all the creatures that I got inspiration from had no tail, so I guess it made it more unique looking. Crowbeast, the invasive Pokemon. Poison and Dragon type. Ability Sturdy and Punk Rock. Hidden ability Beast Boost. Dex entry. Crowbeast's heightened senses make it a truly terrifying Pokemon. Its sinister nature drives it to torment other Pokemon and disturb the natural balance of its surroundings. Whatever these Pokemon have adapted to survive hasn't yet taken place. The growing numbers have led to serious discussions of a capture ban, and some have even proposed using Oppenheimer to eradicate them, though many fear that that wouldn't be enough. Its shiny form obviously takes inspiration from Crobat, and it might be hard to believe, but all the colors you see comes from Crobat. The yellow and the red comes from its eyes. I'm really happy with how Crowbeast turned out. It looks alien, unfamiliar and scary, but still has that Pokemon cuteness to it. And I love the cute and scary balance. And here we have the whole line together. Which one is your favorite? Would you put it on your team? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, consider subscribing so we can keep growing this awesome community. But don't go anywhere yet, because I have more Pokemon to show you. The next one will be a reverse of the Subast line. Instead of creatures entering our dimension, this time is about Pokemon from our world being put into the dark dimension and forced to evolve. And I have the perfect childhood Fakemon for this idea. These guys was first created back in 2003, and as you can see, they are unusual looking. In 2005, I added more colors and made the final evolution more unsettling. I even revisited them again in 2013, sketching new versions that looked a little bit more Pokemon-like, while still keeping a creepy vibe. So in honor of the Halloween season, let's make these scary looking guys. Starting with Icelet. The name comes from ice and let, which is a suffix for small things. I actually redesigned and finished this guy over a year ago. I've been sitting patiently just waiting for the right video to be featured in. As you can see, it mostly takes inspiration from its 2013 design, but I made it look a little cuter this time around. Its most distinctive feature is its red hat, similar to what you see in garden gnomes and elves, and it was a big part of its original design. And a fun fact, I always thought about Snorunt when I looked at it, so there is a bit of inspiration from Snorunt too. And in the 2013 design, I played with the idea to have it float with only one icicle leg, but as soon as I started recreating it, two little ice legs was super cute. Its original color pattern was orange and blue, but I went with a pale blue tone to make it look like a frozen skin, which will make more sense once it evolves. It's a simple, cute little guy with a horrifying future ahead. Icelet, the ice gnome Pokemon. Ice type. Ability, ice body and unnerve. Hidden ability, damp. Dex entry. Icelet are shy Pokemon that live in cold environments. Their DNA closely resembles ice molecules, making them highly adaptable. Because of this unique trait, they were brought to the region 5 years ago for a secret military project. It's a huge business to sell Icelet ornaments during holiday season, so naturally for a shiny I gave it the orange coloring and made its hat blue, a nod to its original color scheme. I love how cute this little guy is. It fits perfectly for what I wanted this Pokemon to be. What do you think about this little guy? Would you put it on your team? Maybe you should wait and see what it evolves into first. In order to evolve Icelet in the Hydonso region, you need to bring it into a dark dimension, or as an alternative for a region where it doesn't have access to a dark dimension, you can use a Dusk Stone. Doing so will cause it to evolve into Mutaice. The name comes from mutant plus ice. Now, Mutaice are yet another middle stage evolution that I actually considered removing at some point. But during the design process, I decided to keep it, and I'm really happy that I did. The original design was quite scary looking, but it didn't transition well into its final evolution. This time my goal is to make it more mutated and unsettling. Turned the icicle legs into sight-like limbs, which gave it kind of like a crab-like appearance, because everything needs to be turned into a crab, right? Originally I wanted to keep its mouth similar to Icelet, but the older design inspired me to give it a sharper, more refined teeth and a large gaping mouth that feel more grotesque and expressive. Its hat, which had a spike in both the 2003 and 2005 version, was reimagined into a stinger, further emphasizing the mutated theme. As of coloring, I stayed pretty close to the pre-evolution, just a little bit darker to reflect its more corrupted form. Mutaice, the mutated Pokemon. Ice and poison type. Ability, Shed Skin and Snow Cloak. Hidden ability, Damp. Mutaice are Pokemon that underwent rapid forced evolution after exposure to the dark dimension it was sent to. The experiment was deemed a failure when most Mutaice turned against the trainers upon evolving. They use their long, ice-like legs to impale prey, injecting a mysterious freezing toxin through their stingers. Following this disaster, research shifted towards the development of the Tersect line. In its shiny form, it takes on a more skin-like coloring just like Icelet and its original design. I made it a poison type to really emphasize the mutation theme. And honestly, it's a cool typing that isn't used, at least as of recording this video. And I think this one turned out very well. And what do you think? Maybe you are not so keen when you see the final evolution though. Now, my concept for its evolution is that Mutaice covers itself in skin before evolving. But since this is a bit tricky to pull off gameplay wise, I will go with something more practical. So instead, you will need to give the item Never Melt Ice, allowing it to keep its skin frozen, and this will give you Flesholem from Flesh plus Golem. Flesholem is an absolute abomination of a Pokemon. It's based on the idea of flesh golems, and let me tell you, as you have seen the original design, this one gonna be maybe more creepy. Flesholem was easily the most difficult Pokemon to design for this video. I really wanted to do justice for its original concept, and had already a strong image in mind on how I wanted it to look. At the same time, I wanted to make it at least somewhat friendly looking, because every Pokemon should feel like you can bond with it. But in the end, I think it turned out more cool than friendly, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I took some inspiration from Barbarnacle, since it's probably the closest existing Pokemon with a similar kind of look that I was going for. Because I knew this one would take some time to get correctly, I've been working on this guy for the whole year. And it was a real challenge to balance the veins, the muscles, make it look believable but still somewhat appealing, while also keeping the uncomfortable, unsettling energy I wanted people to feel while looking at it. After all, it is a mutated alien from another world. One part of his design that drove me crazy was the eyes triangle. I sketched versions without it, but it just felt wrong. It's kind of like its trademark, right? It had it from the very beginning. Another aspect that was difficult was the veins, the ears, the body hair. I went back and forth again and again trying to find some sort of balance between it, because it quickly can look quite yucky and not Pokemon-like. Eventually, I decided to abandon symmetry altogether, embracing the chaotic, twisted energy of the original design. And that was definitely the right move. Flesholem, the Flesh Golem Pokemon. Ice and Poison type. Ability Stench and Snow Warning. Hidden ability Damp. Dex entry. Mutaice continued to be monitored. Researchers observed that it uses the skin of its former trainer during its evolution into Flesholem. Flesholem maintains its flesh-covered body by keeping the temperature extremely low, though it emits a strong rotten stench. Its body contains an abnormal amount of muscle, granting its strength far beyond most Pokemon. Regarding its shiny, I am curious what you guys think. I actually just swapped it before finishing this video. The blue one was supposed to be the shiny, and the white skin color one was supposed to be its normal colors, just like its original design. But I think the original skin colored one makes it a little bit too uncomfortable. But it really struck me while editing. I realized that this can be problematic. And I know that this would have given me so many comments about racism, going from a darker color to a white color. So let's avoid that. And honestly, for most of my Pokemon, the original colors becomes the shiny, so it's not a big deal. I kept thinking I could have made this simpler, but honestly, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Even if I'm still not sure whether I like it or not. It's definitely still disturbing, somewhat cool looking, which is what I went for. And now I'm really curious, what do you think? Would you like this abomination of a creature on your team? I cannot wait to hear what you guys say in the comments. Here we have the whole line together, and I really feel like I did justice to my original childhood drawings with these designs. And that's what the whole channel is all about, reimagining my childhood Fakemons. Here you have all the Pokemon made in this video. Again, which one is your favorite? Do you agree or disagree with anything that I did? Does any of these make your team? And while you're down there in the comments, let me know what you think these hints for an upcoming video could be about. Also, if you haven't seen it already, you should totally check out the previous Halloween episode. Or if you want to know more about the Tersect line that I mentioned earlier, check out this video. Or maybe you are a speculative evolution fan, then you should totally check out the full playlist right here. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Let's recreate them all in the next video. Mads out.